Hey, thanks for tuning into the Art of SBA Lending. Today we're going to take a step back and really take a hard look at what the heck we're doing here as SBA lenders. What do I mean by that? Well, SBA lending is relatively new. Okay, it started gaining traction in the 70s and 80s, and by the 90s, the money store came in and reimagined SBA lending. And in the 2000s, non-bank lenders like GE and CIT turned SBA lending into an industry. And over this period, things get a little bit more efficient. By the 2010s, pretty much all business had gravitated to email. I was still getting some physical packages when I had started out. I think the last physical package I got with tax returns, printed, was 2015. Maybe the last year I got one of those. 2016, the latest. But fast forward to COVID, 2020, and our industry was forced to adopt all the latest technologies. And that was uncomfortable for a lot of us because we tend to be pretty old school in our industry. SBA lending is a very niche business, and most of the folks running the shops have been around for a while. So before we turn the page on this next chapter of SBA lending, I wanted to pause and assess the landscape because I'm getting the sense that most of these shops haven't a clue what they are selling or what their place is in the market. So stick around and I will tell you what I mean by that. All right, I know I put out a poll on LinkedIn, and apparently no one wants these solo episodes, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So here it goes. Does any of this sound familiar? We provide fast answers. We have a streamlined process. We do what we say we're going to do. These are your selling points, right? You've heard this before. Things like, we have certainty of close. What's your value proposition? Creative structuring. Oh, what's yours? We are experts specialized in SBA. Listen, I've used just about every one of these as selling points, and that was fine for the 2010s. But in 2023, expectations are a little bit different, and the SBA landscape is a little bit different. The majority of SBA volume is handled by experts that are specialized in SBA. Look, that's important, right? Borrowers shouldn't be using an experienced bank that do onesies and twosies, but there's over 400 shops that did 15 plus SBA authorizations last year, and those 400 shops did 88% of the 7A volume. So those onesies and twosie banks, they're not your competition. It's the other specialists that are your competition. And so when both of you are telling the same client that they should go with you because you're an expert, it doesn't really move the needle now, does it? All right, next up, creative structures. I love this one. 90% of banks will tell you they have creative structures. Pretty much everyone except for big banks will sell using that line. So again, while it's awesome that your bank thinks like that, so does everyone else. Fast answers. Really? Everyone expects fast answers. Hey, do I need to pledge my house? I do? Okay, thanks. The big question is, am I approved? Now that's the big answer. And whereas 1 to 2 weeks for underwriting was once a pipe dream in our industry, it's now standard. 3 weeks maybe for a complex deal. But there's really no excuse beyond that. Fast answers is a baseline in this environment. Certainty of close, very important to us in our world, right? Now, if I'm the borrower and I tell you, well, there's certainty of close here, I've just issued you a term sheet, but I have certainty of close. And they're probably thinking, you mean to tell me that a bank can issue a term sheet and there's a chance they won't follow through? It's a term sheet. It's on the bank letterhead. I'm going to go with you and you're going to follow through unless I've hidden some huge secret from you, right? Well, there's still plenty of banks that fail to execute. However, all of them are telling the market, come with me, I'll get your deal done. So does leading with certainty of close as a sales proposition move the needle? In my experience, only if you can say undoubtedly that we can get this done without the wishy-washy banker language. And it's rare that a BDO has enough clout to make a statement that bold. I mean, I do, but we do what we say we're going to do. As opposed to what? Lying? This one is along the same lines of the last one. There's BDOs out there that don't follow through for whatever reason. Maybe it's the classic overpromise and underdeliver, but Doing what you say is a baseline expectation in the marketplace. Unless a borrower has already been through the process with an underperforming lender, this statement as a selling point doesn't carry nearly as much weight as one would hope. Last but not least, we have a streamlined process. The process to get an SBA loan varies from bad to worse in the mind of an entrepreneur. They want to build their business, not fill out 1919s. I will admit, we have come a long way as an industry when it comes to efficiency, but it's still no walk in the park for the borrower. A tax transcript issue is going to throw a wrench right in your streamlined process. So will a difficult landlord, so will a phase 1 rec, etc., etc. While the process seems more streamlined and efficient to us as industry insiders, to the consumer, it's still just a notch above going to the DMV. So when we say streamlined, is it really a streamlined process in the borrower's mind? I mean, think about your process on your best day. Now think of a first-time borrower going through it. Will they really come out the other side and say, wow, that was so efficient and streamlined? No, right? They're going to say, that was intense, but you guys were great and you really helped me through it. So what's the answer? How do we sell our services, Ray, if you're telling us we can't say any of these things? There are 3 answers. The first one is the same reason I drink Fiji water. Similar to money, water is a commodity. Fiji doesn't put in their marketing that their water is better or the bottle is more streamlined. They built a brand. When you build a brand, that brand is going to resonate with some segment of the population, and they're going to want to do business with you because of your brand. Now, banks are notoriously bad at branding. The fact that some of us can get a single borrower to take a loan from us after viewing some of our websites is a miracle. This is only going to get more and more important as the newer generations take over and take the reins of small business ownership. Want proof? Look no further than all these banks that are popping up SBA programs with their own fresh new branding, like Voyager the other day that was on the podcast. They created a brand that speaks directly to the small business owner, and it lives under the bank brand. And for the small business owner, that plays into their decision when they're choosing which bank to go with. Because let's face it, there's a ton of viable options in the market these days. Answer number 2 is personal relationships. This has always been true for ages and ages. People buy you. People do business with people that they like and trust and all that jazz. And it's true. That's how BDOs are able to take their entire book of business with them when they switch shops. That's ultimately why the BDO model works and isn't going away. Why you can't automate BDOs out of the process or replace them with SEO. So if I'm a BDO, I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to focus this year on creating meaningful relationships for years to come. And if I'm a shop, I'm going to hire BDOs based on their relationships and the strength of those relationships. One last thing that can set your shop apart, and you can use this to sell all day long, and that's disruption. We could actually see disruption in the industry, a different way of doing business, similar to when Live Oak came to market with the vertical model and their unique way of originating SBA loans. But that was over a decade ago. And I guess the question is now, what's this next form of disruption going to look like? And who's going to make it happen? Maybe it's you. All right, that's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode of The Art of SBA Lending. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, email me at ray@artofsba.com. Until next time, ta-ta.